Hi, this is Sherry Veronica. There is a documentary, Planet Production, are the producers or one of them, but this documentary talks about drug use, and some of the participants explored their upbringing, the kind of home they came from, and even saying that they had an okay childhood. It all stems from poverty because we are not seeing the 5%ers in this documentary. Stay focused, okay? Think about what I'm saying. You're not seeing the 5%ers. You're not seeing anyone from the Indian community in this documentary, okay? When I first looked at it, it's over an hour long, it's an hour and a half-ish. And when I first saw it, the only thing that was surprising about this documentary was that people in Barbados showed their faces. Yes, it is out of Barbados. And the producer managed to get maybe 8 people. I think there was another female, maybe 8 participants, to show their faces. That is a breach in the secrecy mechanism that goes on there in Barbados. It is in place. Secrecy is something that is entrenched. It's systemic in Barbados, okay? You're told to keep your mouths shut. So that was the first thing that surprised me. And I got this maybe 2 days ago, the video, and I watched maybe 10 minutes of it the first time. And then last night, I turned it on again. And I, between moving back and forth, I let the whole thing play. And some of them, they were talking about tough love and how they need to get back to, society, making money. Some of them talked about they were once sellers of drugs and then they became users, from selling to using. They talked about vermin house, how it's really no good until you're ready for it to be of some good. Okay, that was the bottom line. You're not ready to be off the street until you're ready to be off the street. But the film was about drug use in Barbados and the people caught up with drugs and in and out of Dawes, the hotel there in St. Philip. It was repetitive in ways. It was about an hour and a half long, and it could have been a 35-minute film. Could have been 35-minute film. But what caught my attention was when the red guy up top to the right, the one in the reddish shirt and the hat, what caught my attention was when he made a reference to females who are out there on the streets. And he said, they must be going through a different sort of hell. They are going through a different type of hell, being a female and being out there and addicted to a substance and would do anything to get a hit, to get a whatever they need to get. They would do anything. And he made that comment, and I replayed it. I actually heard it, and I said, "What did he just say?" And I replayed it, and that stuck with me. The fact that yes, guys are out there on the street, and they have their own demons to deal with, but the female being on drugs and being on the street in Barbados, it's a whole new level of terror and a whole new different sort of hell that that female is put under. But I don't know if I missed it or not. Okay, maybe I may have missed it because it's impossible. It's an impossibility for me to sit and watch TV, just sit and watch a screen, just sit and watch that box. It's an impossibility. So maybe I would have missed something because I played it while I was moving around. But I didn't hear anything about HIV. People are contacting me saying it is rampant in Barbados. Someone said to me last night in the school, Parkinson School, that there's an outbreak, some sort of STI outbreak in the school, and others are sending me a whole lot of information of people who they are saying has the infection, and they're saying to them, oh, my numbers are up to 100, because they're counting the females that that they think they're passing it on to. Because if someone's body is working well, okay, if there's no damage to the organs that usually would protect you, like I guess it's the liver and whatever else. If those particular organs in your body, if they're working well, although someone may be trying to do something, your body could fight it. But this particular person, a guy, and he's out of Guyana, living in Barbados, and he was saying that his numbers, meaning the women that he thinks he passed it on to, are up to like 100. And there's a lot of talk about HIV in Barbados, but yet when these people spoke, I didn't hear that. You didn't hear about the STIs that they would pick up being on the street, and the things that they would have had to have done, because it's not as though they're making money and being asleep for 2 days straight and you have no memory of anything. You know, there must be a medical downside. It's not only about getting off of the drug and getting back into the public arena and, you know, carrying on with your life like normal and you're going to be all like back to normal 100%. No. The person who did the documentary did not touch on viruses, the ones that keep on giving, the gifts that keep on giving. It didn't touch on that. And another thing I listened for was the pedophiles and the rapists. In a documentary such as this, or maybe he is going to do another one, I don't know, but you didn't hear about the deviant side of being the drug addict. You didn't hear about that deviant side. Yeah, one person was saying, the guy at the bottom right was talking about, you know, he feels or he felt like killing family and killing this and doing that. Yeah, but you didn't hear much more about what they actually did. It wasn't, this documentary would be something that the ordinary Barbadian would see, and because they're showing their faces, they're like, oh my God. And, you know, they're going to be thinking it's the next thing since sliced bread. But it was soft. This documentary was soft. It was almost forgiving. It was almost apologetic. Get familiar with that word. It was almost apologetic. It didn't show the deviant nature or natures of being out of possession of your mind, out of possession of your faculties, sleeping and not waking up for days. What could have happened to you that you did not know? But going forward, you realize, oh, I'm not feeling well here, I'm not feeling well there. Let me go and see what's going on. And then you realize, oh, this may have happened when I was asleep. The documentary could have been more in depth and show a side of being a drug addict that would make any right thinking person, young person, any right thinking young person to say, not in hell, no way. No way, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that road. I'm not going down that road. It could have shown more truths, more reality. It could have gotten into more of the reality of the cycle that these guys found themselves in. And let's say I were to grade it, this documentary, it would get a high grade because these particular actors, they're not actors, I'm not saying they're acting, but these particular people, they showed their faces. You saw them. So that would, let's say it's 1 to 5. I would give that a 5 because that's like unheard of, okay? It's a 5 on that particular, in that particular category. But overall, in terms of having this as a film that they show in schools, for example, let's say they were to see this in schools, how much of this is a deterrent? How much of it with them saying, oh, I need to get off and I need to get back to a life. I need to get back to my life. And, when I'm ready, I'm going to be ready. And, that was my past and now this is my present. How much of that is a deterrent to young people looking at this film? Because they're going to say, if they decide to try something, oh, but you can try and you can get off. You can try it, and then when you're ready, you can get off. How much of a deterrent is it? How much? I'm going to give it a 2. A 2. In terms of that being the film being a deterrent, because it wasn't hard enough. It didn't go deep enough. It did not go deep enough. Okay, not for me. Okay, I wanted to hear more. I wanted to hear more. You heard a little bit about the family structure, and no matter what they said, as I said before, they came out of poverty because the 5%ers are not there. The Indian community, they're not there. They came out of poverty because sometimes Barbadians would think because they live in a house and their father had a job or their mother had a job and there was a car, that they had a good life. Oh yes, I had a good life. There was food in the fridge. No, that doesn't mean that you are not poor. It does not mean you're not poor. Okay? What kind of, you have to, it has to, you have to embrace more about what it means to be a human being than just having a car and living in a house. Okay, you have to start to formulate in your mind, what is it to be a human being? It's just not about having a job, having a car, and living in a house. A lot of stuff goes on within those walls. Okay, a lot of stuff that still to this day is not spoken about, that goes on between those 4 corners of that house and in that particular place where you find yourself. So for me, I would want this particular person who did this particular film to do another film, a part B, that focuses on pedophiles, and another one that focuses on the hog and goat race. Like, it's not incest now. The hog and goat area is not incest. So that will be a part 3. And then focus on incest. and the daddies that is a daddy and a brother and a sister, or whatever. The father impregnating the daughter and then impregnating the granddaughter and being the father and the granddaughter. That is something that needs to be explored. Those are things that need to be explored. The drug scene is all over the world. The drug scene is all over the world. But when you have a place like Barbados, when you have that particular pocket like Barbados, it needs to get real. You really need to put it under a microscope now. Okay? It needs to go under a microscope. And you really need to deal with what is going on within that home. And why are so many young people turning to crime? That's what needs to, that is what I wanted to hear about. That's what I thought, that this was going on the road to that. No, this didn't take me to the road to nothing. Okay? It was a good film because, again, I'm going to say, I was surprised that people showed their faces. That was my only surprise. My only surprise was that people showed their faces. But what about the victims? What about their victims? What about the victims? What about the people that they may have robbed, the ones you're seeing here? What about the victims? Okay, what about the victims? We want to hear from them. We want to hear from them. Overall, the film, like I said, a 2. I'll give it a 2 out of 5. 2 out of 5 because it's a start. It's a start, but they need to get deeper with when Barbadians need to be able to stand before the camera and say, I did this to that particular person. I did this to that particular person. I did it to a whole host of people. It happened to me. It happened to me from that particular person. It happened to me from a whole host of people. You have to start to peel the onion. And when I say peel the onion, you'll be crying, you'll be tearing out, but you have to peel that onion. It's just not about drugs. It's just not about drugs. It's just not about you being a seller of drugs and now you became a user of drugs. It's not that you live close to Ellerslie, but you got the school aid all the time, and people from St. Lucie got to school before. No, come, please. I want to hear from the victims, okay? I want to hear from the victims. This is Sherry Veronica.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.